Ohio is known as the Buckeye State, and while that is fitting for the state, I think Ohio should officially be known as the roller coaster state, since Ohio is home to both Kings Island and Cedar Point, two major parks 3.5 hours from one another, one offering 14 roller coasters and the other, known as America's Roller Coast, offering 17 coasters. With so many awesome roller coasters in Ohio, I wanted to share how I rank them with my official Theme Park Predictions Top 20 Roller Coasters in Ohio. Welcome to Theme Park Predictions. My name is Brandon, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, take a look around, get comfortable, and if you like what you see, subscribe and join my other subs in our awesome little coaster community. Also, be sure to join in on our Facebook group. Kings Island was my home park growing up, and I've been visiting that park since 1989. Cedar Point was 3.5 hours away from my house, and I've been visiting that park since 1993. So both of these parks are what really made me fall in love with roller coasters and the parks. And you might find some of these rankings a little surprising, but these are my opinions, and I've ridden each of these coasters dozens of times, except for Orion, which I was able to get full rides on Kings Island's new Giga Coaster in July of 2020. And everyone's top 20 coasters in Ohio will probably be a little bit different, and that's the beauty of it. So let's jump into the list. Number 20, Blue Streak. Cedar Point's classic out and back wooden coaster has been thrilling riders since 1964. Blue Streak is always a great ride, and in my opinion is often overlooked at Cedar Point. The park's only wooden coaster usually provides a smooth ride and offers great views of Lake Erie, Raptor, and Gatekeeper. Number 19, The Racer. Kings Island's racy wooden coaster features a beautiful out and back style layout. The ride starts out with an 88-foot tall lift hill, and then the rest of Racer's layout is filled with airtime and great views of Coney Mall and of course Orion. The classic Racer is always a must ride when you visit Kings Island, since this was the park's largest original coaster when it opened. Number 18, Rogueroo. Originally opening in 1996 as Mantis, the largest stand-up coaster ever built at the time. Rogueroo's layout and placement has always been the highlight of this coaster for me. Now that the ride features the floorless trains, it's a better overall coaster than it was with the stand-up trains. Rogueroo would be ranked higher, but even with the floorless trains, there's still quite a bit of headbanging when you ride it. Number 17, Gemini. I wonder in 1978 if people got as excited as they do now about a hybrid coaster, because Gemini opened this year and is classified as a hybrid. While not as intense as the hybrids of this decade, the Gemini offers a great ride experience with even better views, great drops, some airtime, and one of the best head chopper elements you'll ever experience on a roller coaster. Number 16, Flight of Fear. When opened in 1996, this coaster was a big deal for Kings Island. The Outer Limits Flight of Fear really put Kings Island on the map with this massive launched indoor roller coaster. Then in 2001, the park switched the restraints from over the shoulder to lap bar only, and this change helped make Flight of Fear one of the best coasters at Kings Island. Number 15, The Bat. Kings Island's classic era suspended coaster is just plain fun. Originally opening as Top Gun, and then later it was renamed to Flight Deck. This coaster is a must ride for me with every visit, and you can't beat this coaster's layout. I sure hope that Kings Island is able to keep this coaster around for years to come. Number 14, Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper is a fun ride and offers a great first drop, some nice inversions, and really gives Cedar Point the mega looper the park needs. For me, Gatekeeper is more fun than intense, and it's an enjoyable ride with some breathtaking views, but it's definitely not one of my favorite coasters at the park. Number 13, Wicked Twister. Now this might be a shocker to some, but I love Wicked Twister. This intimate impulse coaster is intense and features two vertical twisted spikes. Try sitting in the very back car during the second trip up the back vertical spike. It's totally an amazing feeling. And if you've ridden in the back row of Wicked Twister, please let me know down below in the comments if you agree with me that that is the best seat on Wicked Twister. Number 12, Val Raven. In 2016, Cedar Point opened their newest B&M coaster at the park. This dive coaster is the best one that I've ever ridden, and I've ridden the two other here in North America. The views from the top of Val Raven are truly spectacular and makes Val Raven a must ride when you're visiting the point. Ready to be shocked? Well, first, I should tell you that I try to be as honest and true to the point as I can regarding my rankings and thoughts on coasters. With that said, number 11 is Orion. Kings Island's new Giga Coaster is a fun coaster, and I was able to get 4 rides on it back in July. I rode the back, middle, and very front, and I just felt underwhelmed by this coaster. The layout, the forces, and the transitions just didn't really do it for me. But remember, this is my opinion, and if you have ridden Orion, then you might not agree with my opinion, and that is okay. But overall, it's a great looking coaster, it just didn't really deliver in the intensity department for me. Number 10, Diamondback. I've been riding this B&M Hyper since the first year it opened at Kings Island, and as each year passes, I enjoy this coaster more and more. I really love the setting of this coaster, out in the woods, and night rides on Diamondback are even better. Number 9, Top Thrill Dragster. If you love adrenaline, then this coaster is a must ride when you're visiting Cedar Point. This intimate coaster might be short, but when you're traveling at speeds of 120 miles an hour and reaching heights of 420 feet, these 17 seconds are the most intense 17 seconds on a roller coaster you'll ever experience. I absolutely love Top Thrill Dragster. Number 8, The Beast. The world's longest wooden roller coaster comes in next. The layout of the Beast is massive and covers over 35 acres. During your ride, you'll encounter 2 different lift hills, 4 tunnels, and one of the most intense elements on any wooden coaster, the famous double helix near the end of the ride. And if you can, try to take a ride on the Beast at night, because it's totally worth it. Number 7, Banshee. Ohio's largest inverted roller coaster comes in next. Banshee features, in my opinion, the best layout of any invert, because of how this coaster utilizes the terrain. For example, the fastest part of the coaster is at the bottom of the pretzel knot inversion, which is near the middle of Banshee's layout. Not to mention, but is there a better roller coaster logo out there? Staying with the inverts, number 6 is Raptor. Ever since my first ride on Raptor in 1994, I knew I'd always loved this coaster. Over 25 years later, Raptor is still providing great intense rides, just like it did back on opening day in 1994. There are a few rougher spots now, but still not enough to take away from this awesome 6 inversion coaster along Cedar Point's main midway. Number 5, Mystic Timbers. Now some of you might question my rankings right about now, or when I placed Orion as the 11th best coaster in Ohio, and that's totally okay. And everyone has their own preferences and opinions, and that is totally normal. But for me, Mystic Timbers really is Kings Island's best coaster. Yes, it's not the tallest, fastest, or longest, but Mystic Timbers features a great layout that is filled with laterals, airtime, and just a solid ride experience, especially those night rides. Number 4, Magnum XL200, the original hypercoaster. It's hard to believe that Magnum would still be so high on this list after opening in 1989. While some of you might think Magnum hurts your thighs, I look at that along with the many others and think ejector airtime. If you sit in Magnum's Magic Seat, which is car 1, row 3, then you are in for a ride that you won't soon forget. The views that you get while riding Magnum are also an added bonus to this airtime filled machine. Number 3, Millennium Force. I was able to take a ride on Millennium Force before the park opened to the public in 2000, and that was one of the best coaster memories that I've ever had. Millennium Force is a fantastic coaster. I personally wish that there was more airtime, but Millennium perfectly showcases the sheer speed of this coaster. Millie is always a great ride, and even better when you take a ride on this Giga Coaster at night. Now down to the final 2, and honestly, every time I get off of these, I always think it's better than the other. But I was finally able to place these 2 coasters in their appropriate spots on the list. Number 2, Maverick. Some people love Maverick, some people just think it's a good ride. Again, it's all based on your preference, but for me, Maverick is just perfect. I love the smaller 12-passenger trains and the 95-degree first drop. The airtime, the quick transitions, the 70 miles an hour launch out of the tunnel. Maverick is just intense, and I love the perfect blend that this intimate coaster offers. Number 1, Steel Vengeance. After my 14 rides on this masterpiece, this RMC hybrid coaster is really the perfect coaster. In 2018, I was able to take 2 trips to Cedar Point. The first trip was when the mid-course brake was barely slowing the train down, and let me just say, the second half of Steel Vengeance was my favorite after that trip, even better than the first half. But then 3 weeks later, I went back to the point, and that was when they started slowing the train down on the mid-course. And while the second half of the coaster was still great, still wasn't as good as it was when I first rode it. Overall, Steel Vengeance is the king of all coasters in Ohio. This ride is pure airtime, and the layout is just beautifully executed. Ohio is a great place to live, and most importantly, a great place for roller coasters. So start planning your trip now to go visit both Cedar Point and Kings Island, both great parks with even better coasters. If you have been on every major coaster in Ohio, how would you rank them? And what was your biggest surprise, and how I ranked the top 20 coasters in Ohio? Please let me know down below in the comments. A huge shout out to the Theme Park Predictions family. Thank you guys for being you. Please like, subscribe, and follow Theme Park Predictions on social media. As always, thank you so much for watching.